Hello YouTube, my name is Tyler and this is not a reading vlog. Usually I would record a reading vlog. However, I have been in a little bit of a book slump, a reading slump. So I decided to do this a little bit differently. I just was not in the mood to talk about the books I was reading this week. So technically this is the last day of the vlog. It is May 24th. And I did finish a couple of things, so I thought I would just talk about them now since I didn't record any clips through the week because, as I said, I am just kind of not vibing with what I'm reading right now. May is just gonna be that kind of month, I guess. So since the last time we spoke, I finished 4 books. One was the second Gideon Falls book, which I ended up giving 5 stars. So I'm definitely still enjoying that. Really love the art style. But again, I'm not going to get too in detail with that just because it's just kind of hard to talk about it as the story's going on. I don't know the full story yet. So it's kind of hard to talk about these little individual volumes. So volume 2 though, 5 stars. Really good time. I listened to No More Police, an audiobook by Miriam Kaba and Andrea J. Ritchie. Last year I had checked out the physical book and I just could not get myself to read it, so I finally listened to the audiobook. I gave it 4 stars. It was really dense, super dense. The subtitle for it is A Case for Abolition, so it's very much trying to convince people why abolition is good. But it's dense and it's definitely kind of on the repetitive side. However, there was a chapter called Tensions and Tricks, or Tricks and Tensions, kind of near the end, that was talking about the tensions between abolitionists who believe kind of in the state and that we should be working with the state to abolish the police, and then more anarchist abolitionists who believe that if we are going to abolish prisons, we also have to abolish the state. We should not be working with the state to get rid of police and prisons and things of that nature. And I really like that chapter because over the last couple months, this year in general, I've been interested in anarchy, and while it wasn't talking specifically about anarchy in this book, those ideas about the state and understanding if there can be a state without racist prison capitalism. Can the state exist in a different system, or if the state's existence is inherently connected with those systems of oppression. So I found that just to be really interesting, just because that's things I've been thinking about and wrestling with myself. So I enjoyed that. And honestly, I was gonna give it a 3 star, but I gave it 1 whole other star just because I really found that chapter just to be fascinating. And then the other things I read, Yellowface. I got this a week from yesterday. I read it in 4 days, and it ended up being a 3.5 star read for me, which was a real bummer. The first, I don't know, third, really enjoyed. R.F. Kuang just has a way of writing an unlikable character that makes you want to keep reading. Just to see what nonsense this person is going to get into. However, by the time we got into the Twitter discourse part of the book, I just could not care less what happened to June, if she got canceled, if she didn't get canceled, if she got caught, if she didn't get caught. The thriller aspect that came in at the last third, didn't care about that. I don't know, there's something it just did not reach the levels of absurdity that I expect when I'm reading satire. And the way the commentary was done, it just didn't feel like it was pointing out the absurdities of certain things. Instead, it felt like being lectured to about like cancel culture, or like, why are people so mean on the internet? Like, I don't know, it just didn't work for me, unfortunately, which is like a big bummer. Everything I pre-order ends up being not great. I mean, it wasn't bad, but yeah, I don't know, by halfway in, I just like was not invested, and I was just really missing the type of world building that R.F. Kuang does. I understand that it doesn't work for everybody, but I really enjoyed that, especially because Babel was like my favorite, which is like the real world, but like not. And this is just the real world. There wasn't any like world building that needed to be done because it's society we live in, Twitter, Goodreads, Amazon, like there wasn't anything different in that way. And I knew that going in, that it was not speculative in any way, but that was just something I was missing. That world building element of R.F. Kuang's writing is just something that really, really works for me, and I was really, really missing it in this. And then the other thing I read, like I just finished, is Sula by Toni Morrison. Unfortunately, this is my least favorite Toni Morrison I've read so far. And it wasn't bad by any sense. It took me about 2 weeks to read this short little guy, not even 200 pages. I gave it 3 stars. I don't know, I just really struggled with this. I had to break out the like Cliff Notes web page to kind of understand like the metaphors and things that were going on in this, and just like breaking down the plot. And I really can't explain like why it didn't work for me. I mean, maybe I just didn't care about these characters. I'm not really sure what my issue was with it. And like I said, I gave it 3 stars, so it's like not a bad book. But usually when I read a Toni Morrison book, you know, I read it in like 2 days, 3 days. Like the writing just hits me in a way that I'm like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Even if I'm not like getting all of the metaphors, I'm like still just like enjoying the story and just like understanding the story. And I just like was struggling with this one, and like the writing just did not hit me in the same way, which is a bummer. And it's funny because I picked this up specifically because I was like in a book slump. The last time I was in a book slump, I also picked up The Bluest Eye just on a whim, and loved it so much, and it like snapped me out of my book slump. So I was hoping and praying and wishing and begging that for this to like do that for me also, and unfortunately I think it kind of just made me feel worse. So I'm just like reading really slowly. Honestly, the only thing I'm focusing on is like the Gideon Falls reading, and I'm still only reading like an issue a day, not a volume, an issue, because I'm just like, I just feel run down. I'm tired. This month has not gone well, and I've just done a shit ton of stuff this month, so I think I'm also just like actually literally mentally tired. So yeah, I will see you, I don't know, next week with some sort of video. Maybe my wrap up. I have no clue. All right, bye.